Aaron Rodgers and the New York Jets are the biggest mystery in the AFC and quite possibly the NFL. How would this team look if Aaron Rodgers is fully healthy? And can he return back to form like how he was a couple of years ago with the Green Bay Packers? Now, his last season with the Green Bay Packers was not a bad season at all. Some analysts would say that he did not look the same, but it wasn't all on Aaron Rodgers the reason why his numbers weren't that great. And his numbers were still solid, especially in the back end of that season with the Packers. They were pushing for a playoff spot, but they ultimately lost against the Detroit Lions. When I look at Aaron Rodgers throughout that entire season, this was a guy that was fed up with the Packers organization because they just drafted Jordan Love, and he knew he did not have those many years left with the Packers organization, but he made the best out of it. It was a lot of young wide receivers. They dropped a lot of passes, and they struggled to get off of press at times. When I look at the New York Jets wide receivers, Garrett Wilson is one of the better young wide receivers in the NFL. This kid is amazing, but he's been hurt by terrible play calling and terrible quarterback play. It's easy to beat up on Zach Wilson and say this kid's a bust. He was one of the worst starting quarterbacks in the NFL when he got drafted. And that is true. There's a reason why he is no longer with the New York Jets. They missed on Zach Wilson. But the coaching has been terrible as well. And the offensive line play was also terrible. Zach Wilson, horrible quarterback, but the offensive line may have been worse. And the play calling may have been worse as well. Coach LaFleur, who Robert Saleh brought over from the San Francisco 49ers, he was a former pass game coordinator, was a terrible offensive play caller with the Jets, was one of the worst offensive play callers with the New York Jets that you'll ever see. If you thought Adam Gase was a bad head coach / play caller with the New York Jets, go back and look at Coach LaFleur in his first season with the New York Jets with Zach Wilson. It was terrible. One of the worst red zone offenses in the NFL. And the same with Coach Hackett as well. And this is why I want to talk about Robert Saleh before I get into the rest of the team. I love me some Coach Saleh. Great defensive mind, phenomenal defensive coach. It's two ways that you can really look at Coach Saleh's tenure with the Jets. Turn the defense around. Before he came to the New York Jets, the defense was not that good. But he came over, he basically transformed it within one season. He got Sauce Gardner playing up to a high level, who was already a great corner coming out of college. You had the defense completely turn around by getting those pass rushes in there that he wanted. He's built this defense the right way. But on the flip side of things, he's just not a defensive coordinator with the New York Jets. He's their head coach. Yes, he has a huge impact on defense, but at the same time, you're supposed to come in and worry about the entire team. Offense, defense, and special teams. And this offense has been abysmal. At the end of the day, he's the guy that's bringing in the coordinators. At the end of the day, he's the guy that had a say-so in scouting out Zach Wilson as well. A lot of analysts say that the general manager deserves a lot of that blame, and he does. But so does Robert Saleh. He was also high on Zach Wilson, which was a huge miss. The way that you can look at it with Saleh, great defensive mind, but he may not be a true NFL head coach. And I hate saying that, but at the same time, the Jets have not had the best winning record underneath Saleh. And I understand it's hard as hell to win in the NFL when your quarterback is terrible, but you have to find a way. And they try to find ways. They try to go out there and run the football more, but the offensive line has not been the right situation at all. This is when I talk about this being the most important season of Robert Saleh's career as a head coach. Because in the past, you can lean on this. Zach Wilson's a bust. The offense isn't right. You don't have that excuse anymore if Aaron Rodgers is fully healthy. And you really don't have that excuse at all, even if Aaron Rodgers does go down, because Tyrod Taylor is a better quarterback than Zach Wilson. The expectation for the Jets this season is to make a deep playoff run or possibly go to the Super Bowl or win it. That's it. Anything shy of that is a failure. You basically went out there, traded for an older Aaron Rodgers because it was a desperation move. And I love the trade, but that's what it is. You're trading for a guy that is on the back end of his career. He's not going to be here for the next 4 to 5 years. So if this does fail, you have to go out there and find another quarterback that is younger that you can develop. And this is not a Robert Saleh problem. This is just a New York Jets problem. We can put Zach Wilson in the same graveyard with guys like Geno Smith that didn't work out with the New York Jets. Their last decent quarterback was Ryan Fitzpatrick, and that was many years ago. Since then, they've missed on quarterbacks over and over again. They missed on Sam Darnold, even though he was in a terrible situation with the head coach. That comes down from ownership. Zach Wilson was a bust, and he was doomed from start. I never liked Zach Wilson as a prospect. So they have to figure this thing out if they do not win right now. And last season was a colossal failure because you're bringing in talent like Dalvin Cook and you're bringing in those guys. You're trying to make that Super Bowl push. They were all in on Aaron Rodgers staying healthy. And unfortunately, that didn't happen. But I love the moves they have made this offseason by going out there and making trades to get better offensive linemen like Morgan Moses. Solid right tackle. He's better than what you had. He's miles ahead of Mekhi Becton, who was a terrible offensive lineman. And you can make the case that he was the best offensive lineman with the Jets when Elijah Vera Tucker went down. That is just how bad the New York Jets offensive line was last season. The worst offensive line in the NFL. Yes, you had the Carolina Panthers, the Washington Commanders. They'll like to have a conversation with you about that. But on a game-by-game basis, the New York Jets offensive line was horrendous. And Elijah Vera Tucker is another guy that I'm looking at. This is a very important season. Very good offensive lineman, very versatile, can play guard, can play tackle. Both his rookie and sophomore seasons were cut short due to injuries. If he can stay fully healthy, that's going to be a very good lineman to have alongside Morgan Moses and Tyron Smith. Tyron Smith has not played a full season in over 8 seasons in the NFL. Can he get you 11 to 12 games? Can he get you into the NFL playoffs? Can he be healthy then? Because this is an offensive lineman that has dealt with back and knee issues. That's why they went out there in the first round. They drafted Olu, the tackle from Penn State, who is phenomenal, by the way. I think you could put him in and he can immediately be a starting left tackle or right tackle in the NFL, wherever you want to place him at. Very good offensive lineman. So they went out there and they say, we're going to go out there. We're going to fix our offensive line. We're going to give Aaron Rodgers a true fighting chance. And then you can also look at it from this situation as well. Even if Aaron Rodgers was fully healthy last season, that offensive line was so abysmal, I still do not believe that they would have made the NFL playoffs. So they went out there, they addressed the offensive line issues. You also drafted a wide receiver and Malachi Corley. Very good with yards after the catch. I think that he can come in, he can be that number 2 wide receiver alongside Garrett Wilson. I'm not worried about Garrett Wilson. He is special, can run every route you want him to, has a lot of speed, is explosive, very good. You can make the case off his skill set alone that he could be one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. He's just been hurt by terrible quarterback play and play calling. But if you move this kid around, which I hope Coach Nathaniel Hackett does, because he did not have a very good season calling plays with the Jets either. If he can go out there, move this kid around, put him inside the slot, put him on the outside, motion him out, use motion more with this Jets team to give Breece Hall some creases to where he can just go out there and just do a one cut and just go up the field with that amazing speed that he has. It can work out. You now have Malachi Corley, very good wide receiver coming out of college. The thing is with him, a lot of analysts say he's like the next Deebo Samuel. I won't go that far, but he's a very good wide receiver, very productive. He can run some deep routes. I believe that he has a better route tree than Deebo Samuel. Deebo Samuel, in my opinion, is not the best route runner that you would want to go out there and just run hitches and digs and drags, all those things of that nature. He's not a route technician. He can run a slant, sure. Malachi Corley can go out there. He can run a stutter and go. He can go out there and run a go route and get past a cornerback and get on top of him. He can run a post route. He can run a double move. He's very good. They didn't use him like that in college because they didn't need to. And they didn't have the quarterback like Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is going to put these kids in the right situation. When I look at a guy like Allen Lazard, I think his tenure with the Jets may be coming to an end. I know Aaron Rodgers loves him. And I know that the Jets are high on him, even after he had a terrible first year with the Jets. But this is a guy that couldn't catch the football, couldn't separate. And the only reason why he had success in the past is not only because of Coach Hackett and Aaron Rodgers. He benefited a lot because Devontae Adams was playing on the opposite side. Now, is it a chance that he could go out there and have a better season for his upcoming season with the Jets? Sure. But the way that he looked last year was just terrible, especially with the money that they paid him. Yes, Zach Wilson was bad, but let's also look at Allen Lazard as well. He didn't look the best on the field. He has to continue to get better. He has a good rapport with Aaron Rodgers. Let's hope that Aaron Rodgers can stay healthy and give this kid the football. But the Jets offense already looks better on paper. And the thing is with the New York Jets, their defense is so dominant, all you have to do is just average 17 to 20 points a game, and that should get you into the NFL playoffs. They don't need Aaron Rodgers to go out there and to be the MVP Aaron Rodgers. That would be great to see, but he doesn't have to be that guy. He just has to go out there and just be 80% of what he was a couple of years ago, or just be better than Zach Wilson. And I believe that he is a million times better than Zach Wilson, even if Aaron Rodgers is out there gimpy and he's dealing with injury. But I believe the best years of Aaron Rodgers' career are in the past. I could be wrong with that, but usually when quarterbacks get older, statistically shows they don't continue to get better later in their career. But if he can just be what he was a couple of years ago with the Packers, that's more than good enough to make a Super Bowl push, especially in this division. And let's look at this division. The Buffalo Bills has a lot of turnover. They've lost a lot of veterans with that roster, and they're dealing with a lot of problems right now. The New York Jets, they can defeat the Buffalo Bills. They did it last year. Now, each year changes, but we know this about Josh Allen. He gets frustrated. When you take away certain things away from his game, you take away certain parts of the field, he will go out there, he'll become a gunslinger. Against the Jets, that's the worst thing that you would want to do. Let's look at the Jets before we go back into the division. Let's look at what the Jets were able to do this season. They gave Patrick Mahomes hell. They almost won that game. It was a bogus flag. They went against the Jets in that game. If it didn't, they would have defeated the Kansas City Chiefs with Zach Wilson at the quarterback spot, starting. They did a great job on the Philadelphia Eagles. They gave them their first loss this season as well. And you look at the job they were able to do against Russell Wilson, where he looked like a competent quarterback with the Denver Broncos. The defense was carrying them. They were able to go on a mini win streak and a mini hot streak with that defense playing up to that next level. And we can go back to that Thursday night football game as well. If the offense just go out there and give the defense a rest, maybe things would turn back into a different situation. This defense can get pick sixes. They can get fumbled for sixes. But you're hoping they don't have to go out there and push the extra mile if Aaron Rodgers can just go out there and give them 20-plus points a game. That's all that he has to do. But when I look at this Jets defense, they're special. Especially in this division. The Patriots, they're rebuilding. You can defeat the New England Patriots on paper right now. They have Jacoby Brissett, the starting quarterback. We'll see if they start Drake May. But the Patriots right now, they're not ready to contend for a playoff spot. The Buffalo Bills, you can say that they are with Josh Allen, but Robert Saleh does a great job against neutralizing him. And then against the Miami Dolphins, we know what Tua Tagovailoa is. Tua Tagovailoa, solid quarterback. Very good quarterback, very accurate, very on time. What happens when Ahmad Sauce Gardner and DJ Reed, when they body up those wide receivers and they can't get a push down the field and that defense is getting pressure with their front seven? Tua's not going to look the same because he's not the most agile quarterback. You have an agile front seven. So at the same time, the Jets are healthy. They could win this division very easy. But it just depends on health with all those players, from Aaron Rodgers, Tyron Smith, also Mike Williams. He's also a guy that you brought in. Mike Williams, very good wide receiver if he can stay on the field. Has dealt with back injuries in the past. Has dealt with a torn ACL. He only played a few games this season because he tore that ACL. And I like Mike Williams a lot. But can he give you 8 to 9 games in the season? Can he give you that? Can he be productive off the press again? Because when you look at Mike Williams, he was never a burner deep down the field. He's a contested catch wide receiver. You have that in him and in Malachi Corley. But regardless, I do think as long as Aaron Rodgers is there and the play calling can be better with Nathaniel Hackett, I think that they'll be in a good situation moving forward. And with the defensive names, they look better on paper. They went out there, they traded for Hassan Reddick. Bryce Huff is no longer with this team. He's no longer with this organization. Bryce Huff went to the Philadelphia Eagles. He was a third down pass rusher. Majority of his sacks came from third downs. Hassan Reddick, you could play him on first, second, and third down. And by the way, this is not me saying that Bryce Huff was just a system player with the Jets. I think that he'll be very successful with the Eagles, but let's call it for what it is. He was a situational pass rusher. Hassan Reddick can go out there and stop the run. He is more so known for getting pass rush. But you also have a guy opposite side of him, Jermaine Johnson. Phenomenal sophomore season, 7.5 sacks, 1 interception. Very good pass rusher as well. Javon Kinlaw is a guy that Robert Saleh helped develop with the San Francisco 49ers, and he helped draft that kid and help scout him out. I think he'll be a very good defensive tackle. The thing is with Javon Kinlaw, he's playing alongside Quinnen Williams, who is one of the best defensive tackles in the NFL. Only had 5.5 sacks this season, 1 forced fumble, 1 interception as well, which was a crazy interception. But when you look at Quinnen Williams, he can go back there and put a lot of pressure on the quarterback. The reason why his numbers were not that great this season, they were triple teaming him and chip blocking him with a running back steal. You have Javon Kinlaw who can eat up blocks in space. He's going to only benefit from that. Then you also have another young pass rusher as well in Will McDonald IV. So they have a good plethora of defensive linemen that can come in and out of the games. They can get to the quarterback. So the defense is ever getting tired, you can go back to the bench. You have a good rotation now. Bring those guys in. It's relentless pass rush over and over again. You go back to the days of where the Philadelphia Eagles had nothing but pass rushers and they made that playoff run and they won the Super Bowl against the Patriots. That's the type of defense that the New York Jets have. And that front seven. And that secondary is tremendous. And their linebackers are very good as well. CJ Mosley is still holding it down at that middle linebacking spot. 80 solo tackles, 2 forced fumbles, 1 interception. He's not the same CJ Mosley that he was many years ago with the Ravens, but he's still a very good guy to have around. Quincy Williams is the guy that you look at. He's the brother of Quinnen Williams, and this is not one of those situations. It's nepotism. The only reason they signed him is because he's Quinnen Williams' brother. No, this kid can ball. 95 solo tackles on the season, 2 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, 1 interception. He is great. So they can control the line of scrimmage. They can stop the run. This defense can do everything. This could honestly be one of the best defenses in the NFL if their offense can wake up. I am still concerned about their offense because of Nathaniel Hackett. He's not the best play caller. Yes, he had some successful years with the Packers, but a lot of that was on the back of Aaron Rodgers. Let's just call it for what it is. The reason why he got hired by the Denver Broncos is because Aaron Rodgers. They thought they were going to go out there and get Aaron Rodgers. And Coach Hackett does get a bad rep for what happened with the Denver Broncos. That was just a terrible situation for everyone involved. Russell Wilson, Coach Hackett. You do different things when you're a head coach. That's why I'm so hard on Robert Saleh right now, because you have to worry about everything. Nathaniel Hackett now only has to worry about offense and getting that personnel together. So maybe he's one of those coaches. He's a better offensive coordinator than he is a head coach. We will see. I do think that Coach Hackett has some good play designs in terms of just passing the football deep down the field and just getting things right with Aaron Rodgers. But this team is all in. You have to push all your chips in. You don't have a young quarterback that's going to walk through the door and say, hey, I'm ready to develop to the next level. They have to win now. And if they don't, Robert Saleh may be fired, and also the general manager as well. And I would hate to see that, but at the same time, that is how today's NFL is. When you miss on that quarterback position, I've seen coaches get fired within 1 to 2 years because of it. It's a fireable offense. If the defense was not as great as it was, a lot of people would be calling for Robert Saleh's job. I'm not calling for it per se, because I do not believe that he got a fair chance with the Jets overall because of how terrible the offense was. But at the same time, he did have a huge say-so in bringing in those coaches. It's just the talent on that end hasn't been able to stay healthy, and they haven't been good either. But let me know in the comment section below, how do you guys feel about the New York Jets, and can they make a Super Bowl push in the AFC? And this is my thing as well. Not every team in the AFC can make the Super Bowl or make a Super Bowl push. You have teams like the Houston Texans. You have teams like the Kansas City Chiefs who are always stick around. The Miami Dolphins possibly the Buffalo Bills, the Chargers if they're heading to the right direction with Jim Harbaugh. So it's going to be tough teams every single year. The same way with the Baltimore Ravens. But as I look at it right now, I think the New York Jets have the best defense in the AFC. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Most importantly, I want each and every last one of you guys stay safe, stay positive. Thanks for watching the video, guys. God bless. Peace.